kind of scary, and I don't want to be doom and gloom, but it's like the less options we have that stand alone, maybe the target market for Google Ads in 2026, the landscape has shifted and it'll only begin to shift. How's it going, everybody? Gene Villanose here, and with my co-host Ryan Fenton. Today is another episode of our PPC Cave, and we're actually at episode 123. But before we get into the actual topic, and before we get into our sponsor Opteo, I want to welcome our lovely co-host Ryan. Ryan, how have you been, bro?
The boys are back in town, my friend. It's been a long time. I think it's probably the first quarter of the year, maybe, the last time we got together and did a. It almost feels like we run the channel, but we're just separate channels or something now. It's so strange. We should do this more often. It's been a long time. I did see the highlight for me was the Shakira episode, the second one. I thought that was really good. And you've just been doing some amazing, like the Reddit Q&A, I think was the last one. I saw that was really good. You've just been awesome at managing the account, and I'm just obviously taking advantage of you. It's child labor, I think it is, exploitation. And no, but obviously you kind of, the guys have heard me, they've seen me pop up from time to time, and I've tried to, when I've had time free, put content out. So hopefully the listeners, the viewers, the subscribers have been enjoying the British take on Google Ads, but also the American take on Google Ads. But safe to say that it's nice to be back with my co-host and actually do a live episode together again. It's awesome. How are you?
Yeah, I'm great, brother. I'm great. And just to chime in, Ryan does do a good job of stepping in. I think he had a couple good videos. I think a big one was that last, or the second to the last one, where it was like secrets to lead gen success. And so but yeah, I've been great, man. Been great. Just hanging out, doing Google Ads. As you mentioned, we are playing a lot more golf.
Yep.
So what about
How's
you?
that going?
Tell us. Yeah, it's going. It's like Google Ads. You think you got something figured out, and then you see all these new updates, and see that you're probably way more behind than someone else. But I think golf is a good internal sport to just kind of challenge you to get better at your own pace, at your own mental capacity. So it's been good. What about you?
Yeah, it's interesting. I saw a quick quote the other day from Sean Connery, of all people, and he
Mm.
was like, "Oh, I love golf," and he was saying that golf is so easy to cheat at, but you cheat yourself because you could easily drop a
Mm.
ball, you could like kick a ball, get a few yards, whatever, So you just cheat yourself. But it's a great game, and someone sold it to me, an old agency, and they was like, "Look, you go out there, you're one with nature, you play a round of golf, you can see some nice trees, some nature, it's peaceful, it's quiet, there's no children, there's no wives, and things like that. And it is a really nice time to reflect and almost ground yourself and connect with yourself again, and with earth and things like that. I don't want to get too spiritual or anything like that, but it's a great game, and we both really enjoy playing. Hopefully one day we can actually play together. I think that'd be amazing. Take you, get you on the tour over here or something like that, and play some golf together. But yeah, I've been working closely with a coach, really great coach, not too far from me, and he's worked with Victor Hovland, who is a PGA Tour player. I think he won the Travelers, I think, a few weeks ago. He's worked with a few other people. He's kind of been in the same realm as Tiger Woods as well. So he's told me a few Tiger stories, which is cool to see. And I love that because it's like, that is that 5 degrees of separation, like you're 5 people away from knowing everybody or something. So to know that I'm like one person away from someone who knows Tiger Woods it's a weird kind of cool thing. So yeah, golf is going good. I'm starting to hit the ball much better, much further or farther, and yeah, everything's coming together, man. So I've not actually got out and played for a long time. It's just been in the studio, working on the grip, working on the game, on the range, hoping to take advantage of the lovely British weather we've got at the moment and get out and play. But yeah, it's going good. And then for me, it's just wedding prep. We're about 2 months out from getting married. And yeah, just going to the gym, eating healthy, being consistent, and all that fun stuff. So that's kind of how it's been with me, and yeah, it's good fun. But how about you? How's life?
Yeah, no, life is good. We mentioned we're in the market for a new home. Things like that. But yeah, it's life is good. It's going by quick. I feel like this year in general
Yeah,
is going by quick, and it's I think as we age, it's just like the experiences become a little bit more condensed, just because yeah, Ryan's pointing to his face or his head
bald
right
head,
now.
the
Um,
wrinkles and everything. Yeah, it
Yeah, but
happens.
Ryan does look good. I
Thank
definitely
you.
see that he has been working out. If you guys are on just Apple Podcasts or Spotify, again, jump on the video. Always jump on the video so you can see what we're wearing, how we look. The eye contact is there, so jump
That's
on
right.
that. But yeah, we're
You
we're
look
we're
great as
doing
well, my friend.
well.
You're looking
Thank
good.
you, thank you, brother. Thank you, brother. We're doing well, and but before we get into our actual episode, I do want to also let y'all know what's been working well for me, and that is Opteo. Opteo again has saved me so many times in these last couple of weeks, just because of their new AI interface that goes directly on top of the platform itself, where it's connected to the Google Analytics, Google Ads, and of course the website. So all the recommendations, everything that you need to do is actually in Opteo now. You don't even need to get on Google Ads if you don't want to on the platform. So I think the best way to check it out is go to www.opteo.com/theppccave, mention us, and upgrade your 14-day trial to a 20-day trial today. But before we get into the actual episode, Ryan, is there anything else you want to talk about before we jump in?
No, it's been a long time, man. I'm just thinking like how quick the year has gone by. I can't believe we're already halfway through, over halfway through the year. It is really flying by. I mean, today my daughter broke up from school, so the last day in year two. So next year she
Oh,
goes up to
wow.
year three. So the kids are growing up. I'm growing up. I'm getting old. And it's just time is going by so fast. So it's a whirlwind, to be honest. But we're all on it for the ride, and I think it's just we have to just sit and watch it play out as it does. But again, I'm very spiritual tonight. I'm very psychological. I don't know why, but it's
Nostalgic.
nice to be back with you. And I'm just trying to appreciate the moment and appreciate being in your presence and back on the pod. So
Awesome, awesome. Well, it's something that we have to, as we all get older, everyone ages, things change, and I think that's just how Google Ads is also, where things
mm,
change, and we begin to look at some of the new updates with the target return on ad spend and target CPA update that we did the other day. That's effective August 17th. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go back to I would say episode 119 and check that out, because right now we're recording this July 23rd and you have till August 17th to get all your ducks in a row. But again, another update from Google, and this time it's two updates. And the title of episode 123 is Display Ads Are Changing Forever and Local Services Gets a New Home. So yeah, local services are moving into Google Ads. This is our first topic, and before we get into it, and before we get into the actual Google Doc here, have you done much local ad services, Ryan? LSAs, as they call it.
I have a call coming through. I'm sorry about that. I'm just gonna get rid of
No,
WhatsApp on
you're
my
good.
desktop so I can hear that pinging in my ear. There we go. Um, have I done local service ads? Yes and no over the years. I think it's quite easy to set up and get going and things like that. There's not as much management needed as there is, say, with Google Ads campaigns. What always threw me off is why was it a separate channel? Why was it a
Mm.
separate platform? Because you would log into a Google Ads account and at the bottom you would see like all accounts or something, and then a lot of the times the spend wouldn't correlate between what the campaigns are adding up to, like the daily spend or something like that. You'd see a little bit more, and it was like, when it first came out, I'm like, that doesn't really make sense. And then I realized, oh, it's local service ads, so it makes sense to actually include it all in one platform, easier to manage, easier to monitor, and things like that. So I think this is a great call by Google. Hopefully, it'll make it a lot easier for people to manage the different campaigns and things like that. How it's going to look, I don't necessarily know because it could look quite messy. The interface currently for local service ads, I don't know if they even call it Google Guaranteed anymore. I know that was something that for a while it was called Google Guaranteed, but I think now it's just local service ads. That platform looks quite all over the place with the messages, with the, record the lead and things like that and everything. So I don't know how it's going to look, but I'm intrigued by this move, and I think it is a good part on Google. I think to do this. Well, what's your take?
Yeah. So, like Ryan mentioned, local LSAs are no longer going to live inside a standalone platform. They're being merged with Google Ads inside the Google Ads interface. And I have this um, up on the screen right now. We don't have to read it, but it's actual Google Ads help that talk about local service ads transitioning to Performance Max campaigns. And I mean, yeah, I think this is something that's, in my opinion, warranted. Or I would kind of take Ryan's side. Is why were they separate? I'm not sure if Google thought that they were going to get more traction if it was more Google business profile, facing, or locational facing, compared to actually, having a client or someone managed within the Google Ads platform. Or maybe they thought that clients would have a better, or business owners would have a better time managing it on a separate platform and not get too overwhelmed if they were to jump into the whole Google Ads interface itself. But regardless, it's going to be in Google Ads now, and I think I think it's a good thing. But I also do think that Google has a master plan. When they do things like this, I feel like it's what is the real reason, and that's what we want to get down to. What are the potential advantages? Of course, okay, easier account management. You get shared reporting because it all stays in one umbrella. Integration with the conversion tracking. But what are some of the things that could make us more skeptical of this benefiting Google than it, like, basically benefiting either us or the client? What do you think, Ryan? Do you have any skepticism of, or kind of like a hunch of, why Google is doing this for their benefit?
I really don't know. I honestly have no inclination as to why they're making this move now. Obviously, local service ads has been out for a long time, and it just
Mm,
seems a little bit weird to do it all of a sudden now. But nevertheless, I don't see local service ads replacing normal Google ads, if that makes sense, and
yeah.
campaigns, because they've worked in harmony together for so long. So I think it's a nice add on. But then again, if you look way back, and Gene and I will probably both show our age now, you used to be able to run local campaigns inside Google Ads, and I think that just got lost within search and Performance Max, and like the Google Maps and things like that. So maybe this is a way of gradually bringing it back and reintroducing it, perhaps. I honestly don't know, but I'm wondering if they're trying to put it all in one house so that maybe there's a new platform coming out on the horizon, something along the lines of what ChatGPT. I don't want to keep going back to AI and things like that, but OpenAI, ChatGPT ads,
Mm,
are Google prepping up and getting ready to do something similar with Gemini? And there's going to be a new ad management platform for Gemini specifically. I don't really know. I'm just obviously speculating at the moment. Nothing has come out. It's just purely guesswork at this point. But it's an interesting move why Google are doing it now, I guess you could say. But I think it's a good. I think personally for me, it's a good thing. It's going to make things a lot easier for people to manage. I don't know what it's going to look like. It could look quite messy and bombarded in there, but
mm.
time will tell.
Yeah, I think Ryan hit on something on the tail end of that, and I think it's the Gemini. I think that's a big deal. I'm sure they could somehow tether both if it was still living on two separate platforms, but the fact that you can now maybe have better AI with shared signals inside one campaign, where you have your search campaign, you have your Performance Max, demand gen, and then you have LSAs also living inside one ecosystem. I think that may be a little bit more streamlined when it comes to, finding insights through Gemini or through the AI that they put over all of Google Ads, that everyone has seen. But yeah, I think it's probably just maybe easier adoption also. Just because they're like, oh, you are, Mr. XYZ client owner, business owner, you are successfully created an LSA. Now you can successfully create a Performance Max campaign. Now you can create an AI Max, or a search campaign that uses AI Max, and then they could just see all those invoiced amounts between all those different campaign types just begin to ratchet up and up and up. And while, the conversions or perhaps the actual volume of ROI for owner that's not really focused on this but thinks they're getting good traction is just sky high. So I always think the worst when it comes to Google, making more money off the business owner that doesn't have time to do Google ads. But yeah, I think that's, maybe something that can, the reasoning for this. But yeah, any other thoughts or things to watch or takeaways before we move on to the next topic update?
No, I think we kind of covered it. I mean, the main thing is I am a fan of local service ads. I think there is a place inside a Google Ads ecosystem for local service ads. So I don't want people to take the notion or the key takeaway to be that, at least from what I'm gathering from Gene as well, is that we don't like LSA. I think, on the
Yeah.
contrary, we actually do like LSA. I think there is a real good opportunity there, especially for smaller business who perhaps don't have that initial budget to run Google Ads campaigns from the get-go. Actually having
Mm.
that pay-per-lead model with local service ads fills that gap until they have enough kind of customers or revenue or money in the business to actually be in a position to run Google Ads campaigns. So I think it's great for so many different reasons. And yeah, I think it's definitely plugging a gap where pay per click, you drive the traffic. And I'm a big fan of the saying, and there's no better way to sum it up than you can drag a horse to water, you can't make it drink it. You can send the traffic through an ad, get the click, send it to the website or a landing page. You can't always make that customer buy the product, sign up for the service, fill out a lead form, whatever it might be. But whereas local service ads bypasses all that, and you only pay for the leads that actually you think are going to bring you business. So I think it's great that it's sticking around, that it is moving. I think all the right signs. I just don't know what it's going to look like, and what dominoes will fall in place of that if there is another platform or something. But I think we've kind of covered everything there. Do you have any final thoughts on what I just said there, or do you think we've wrapped that one up?
No, I think that was a good wrap up, for sure.
Cool.
But yeah, we can move on to the next update or topic. This is a little bit of an older update, but still, we haven't made a video on it. That's why we want to discuss it. But just Google display ads becoming basically demand gen, or demand gen absorbing the Google display. So what's changing? Standalone Google display campaigns are moving into demand gen. This is still going to allow advertisers to access the GDN, the Google Display Network. But then now demand gen is including YouTube Shorts, Discover, Gmail, Google Maps, and also the GDN, the Google Display Network. So initial thoughts of this, Ryan, as demand gen absorbs Google Display.
I mean, honestly, I've never really been a fan. I've never really been a
Mm.
fan of display campaigns, search partners, even demand gen. I think there is a lot of opportunity there for demand gen. It is a good channel. It's a nice channel. I've just not really wanted to experiment with it because I think the lead quality, the customer quality is often quite low. Where the placements typically are, where they happen, and things like that, especially on display network. So I think, is that being taken away from Performance Max and put into demand gen? Is that something, or are we talking more about standalone display campaigns moving into demand gen, which would make more sense? Personally, the takeaway from this is actually opposite to what we were saying about LSA. I'm not a fan of display campaigns. I'm not really a fan of demand gen campaigns. I don't know what your take is on it, Gene, but that's really all I have to say on that, to be honest.
Yeah, and I think you bring up a good point. And to clarify, you are correct. It's more so Google Display campaigns are moving into demand gen, like being a part of demand gen. Just Google Display, and there won't be like that Google Display option as a campaign type. But I mean, yeah, I think I don't really use Google Display a lot just because it's like I do see where there's a fit for it. Maybe you really love brand awareness. You
Mm.
really don't want to run a billboard. You love brand awareness and you're not really caring about what conversion is, or maybe you have a long sales cycle for something, so you want to be top of mind, and then maybe a year or two down the road you get a conversion. But for me, I guess it is uh, you know more streamlined if everything is in one campaign type, such as demand gen. But like for me and Ryan, we don't really use it as much, is because I haven't came across a client who just wants to use Google Ads as a brand awareness tool, so, or going into off of google.com. Really,
Mm.
that the appeal to Google Ads is you're on google.com. You're not on any partner sites or any display network sites. So that's kind of where I have skepticism. um, but yeah, we asked the same questions with LSA. What do you think Google's motive is for, not motive, but just the reasoning for doing this, even though we don't really use demand gen or the
Who
GDN
knows?
network?
I mean, at this point, it's strange how Google operates sometimes, because yeah, we're gonna take target CPA and we're going to take target return on ad spend and we're going to roll that into maximize conversions and maximize conversion value, right? So you can only use target CPA if you're going to use maximize conversions. You can only use target return on ad spend outside of standard shopping campaigns. This is if you use maximize conversion value. That was then, and now all of a sudden, no, you know what we're going to do? We're going to actually reverse that, and we're going to have target CPA be a standalone bidding strategy. I'm going to have target ROAS be a standalone bidding strategy. Now, what we're seeing is like display campaigns are going to be rolled into demand gen. Great, okay, cool. Is it going to be a case of 2-3 years down the line, you know what? We're actually going to remove display campaigns from demand gen. So it's this constant mix and match and overlap and integration and then disembarking it and things like that. It's so bizarre. It makes sense to me that they would do that and lump it as all in one, but at the same time, I just don't understand why Google are doing it now. I don't really understand the reasoning behind it, and they just seem to go back on their word a little bit. I'm hoping, by the way, you heard it here first on the PPC Cave, that they go back on their word about broad match modified, and we actually we see broad match modified come back, because oh my god, broad match modified was one of the best like keyword match types that was ever there. It was like not quite broad, not quite phrase match. It was the perfect thing, and it was really good towards the end. Like before they actually sunsetted it, it was really good, and then they got rid of it, and now we're just left with the three. So hopefully that comes back. But as for demand gen, as for display campaigns, no idea why they are doing it now. Just seems a bit random, to be honest, a bit weird, but that's my take on it. So, Gene, I don't know what your thoughts are on, why now, and does it make sense to do it? And yeah, what's your take on it?
Yeah, I think the one reason we kind of mentioned it with LSA is maybe just more powerful AI functionality if it's all in one campaign. But I also think like uh, maybe they want to compete more with like Meta and TikTok,
Mm,
just because it's like when you're creating a Meta campaign, you're not like, oh, do you want feeds, reels, marketplace? You just have a campaign. You have, excuse me, the assets and videos or creatives, and then Meta, it's up to Meta to distribute that. Just like TikTok. TikTok is the same with that. You have your creatives. Okay, what campaign type do you want? And then we'll distribute it across all of our display, what they would call like the display network, the YouTube, YouTube, the reels, all of that. So I think it just kind of maybe simplifies, or even not simplifies, but I think kind of like maybe murkies the water of where it can go if it's in demand gen, which is Google is just saying, okay, well, if you want anything to go outside of the google.com network, then just use this, be Google Display, Discover, Gmail, Maps, all that stuff. So I think it becomes less of a focus of where I want to reach these people, like what websites do I want to reach these people at, but it's more so like I just want to reach these people regardless of where they're hanging out.
yeah.
So that's kind of what I think. But we don't. I don't use it as much, or I don't use it at all really to have a crazy strong opinion of either being mad or I'm more indifferent, to this. Yeah.
Mm.
But yeah, we just want to make sure that everyone out there is updated, that they understand. Maybe there's people out there that use GDN and demand gen religiously. So we have to be able to go outside of our scope, even if we don't use it, to provide you the most recent Google Ads updates on the PPC Cave. Any final thoughts, either on LSAs or display networks, Ryan, or just any final thoughts in general?
I think you said people use demand gen campaigns religiously. I'd love to speak to those people because I never have heard anyone really use demand gen campaigns. So, yeah, each to their own. But no, this was we always say this. This was a great episode. It's always a great episode. And it's a great episode because we were able to get back together again and talk about some of the latest news that Google Ads are rolling out. Essentially, I kind of missed the fact that I wasn't on the episode a couple of weeks ago where we talked about the smart bidding strategies coming out again, target CPA, target ROAS. I think that would have been a really good episode for us to both sink our teeth into and have a conversation over. But nevertheless, we didn't happen then. It happened today, and the boys are back, which is really cool. And it's been a great episode. It's been great to see you and catch up with you, my friend. I've missed you genuinely. I appreciate all the great things that you do for us, for the PPC Cave, for our viewers, subscribers, listeners. I think the content you put out every week, and Joel, our editor as well, has done an amazing job since coming on board. And he's the third man that you don't really see. He's behind the scenes, working hard away in the editing room, cutting all the film together, splicing it, gluing it, rolling it, and things like that, putting it in theaters on 70mm IMAX. So yeah, he's great at what he does, and I just appreciate you both really managing the channel. So and last, to kind of take a leaf out of Snoop Dogg's book, I'd like to thank me. I'd like to thank me. No, I'm joking, but
Nice.
It's been a great episode, and it's just great to be back with you, my friend. But any final thoughts from you before we wrap up and call it a day?
Yeah, I'll actually want you to take us out, but so
Okay, I'll try.
you think about that, and yeah, it's been a long time, but my little rant here of my final thoughts will probably give you some time to think about it. But I think first of all, it's always good episode when it's me and Ryan, and I think the people watching out there understand that too, that you're getting twice the experience, twice the knowledge, and twice the value. So it's always
international knowledge as well, I should say.
Exactly. International. You're not just getting the American way of things. You're getting that and the European UK way of thinking also. But yeah, none of these updates are becoming surprising anymore. I think Google has spent a lot of time and just effort in the last several years to begin moving towards fewer campaign types and more AI driven automation. It's happened with a lot of the type of campaigns and options within those campaigns to really consolidate. You're even bringing in Performance Max, where technically you don't have to run search, technically you don't have to run shopping, you can just run Performance Max, but we all know how that goes. And then they bring in Demand Gen, and then AI Max, and then now local services, and now display gets consolidated. So everything is kind of slowly becoming a unified advertising ecosystem, and I think that's something that we shouldn't overlook, and that's something that is important for us to note, that they want to make sure that not only people like me and Ryan that have high level experience in making and creating Google Ads campaigns work for people. It's not only us now, it's everyone. So a business owner, someone that makes mittens for cats, in the Midwest or whatever it is, you too can spend money on Google Ads to maybe get a conversion or maybe get a sale. And I think it's kind of scary, and I don't want to be doom and gloom, but it's like the less options we have that stand alone, the more I begin to think, okay, maybe the target market for Google Ads in 2026, the landscape has shifted and it'll only begin to shift. So, that's my takeaway, take it with a grain of salt. But yeah, I think for me, maybe there are just some things that are inevitable on the horizon with change that we can't reverse. So
That was very poignant. I like that. That was very nice.
yeah,
So well summed up. And
thank
that
you.
was like how you said you were like, you too can spend money on Google. It's like a little bit of a
Yeah,
promotion for Google Ads. Like you too can waste your money on Google Ads and get frustrated. But no,
yep.
it's really funny. But where can people find the great Gene Villeneuve if they want to work with you?
Yeah, you could find me at Tempest59, Tempest number 5, number 9.com. And
And
you?
I guess if you want to work with me, you can come to the UK and we can have a jolly old cup of tea with the king. No, but you can reach me at Ryan at ryanfentonppc.co.uk. We're always releasing weekly content. We make sure that we put out a new video every Monday, mountain time, on the dot, at the top of that mountain, wherever you go. There's a boatload. It's like the end of a rainbow. There's a bucket of gold. You go up that mountain, there's a bucket of PPCK videos ready to be dispersed. So mountain time every Monday is either going to be me or Gene, or on the rare occasion, Gene and me, and you get two for the price of one. So be sure to subscribe to the PPC Cave because we always like to give you the latest and greatest tips and tricks about Google Ads, new releases, anything and everything. The main thing we want to highlight as well is the amazing sponsor Opteo. They just do a fantastic job of managing, of optimizing Google Ads accounts. Now, I have to use the term managing lightly because they don't do it for you. You need to go in, you need to look at the recommendations they have. You need to push those recommendations through to the actual Google Ads account and campaigns. But the recommendations they have, the stuff they're doing in there is absolutely amazing. And, Gene and I both talk very highly of Opteo. And if you want to see what they do, I mean, we've got a extended free trial. Typically they give 14 days, but we want to be more generous than that. And we want to give you an extended free trial of 28 days. So that's on us. To claim that free trial, just go to, and I'm going to do it Gene's way, www. No, www.opteo.com, opteo.com/ThePPCCave and get 28 days free trial, extended trial on the guys at the PPC Cave. So I think that's pretty much it. I think that's this episode 123. 123 is done and dusted. So, as always, if there's nothing else, we'll speak to you all next time.